Hello, I'm Rosa.
And I'm Angela.
And this is the Ripple Podcast.
The podcast where we tell you strange and unusual stories.
And the ripples they create.
AKA the story after the story.
Bum, bum, bum.
Get Ripple, the bright new drink with that ring-a-ding flavor, Ripple.
It's
Late.
7:07 on a Friday night.
In quarantine. Woo!
Oh, big quarantine. Crazy quarantine.
You want to start drinking?
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like I really need to.
So, because of quarantine craziness, so I bought a drink. And this is the second time this has happened, and I drank it before we recorded.
That's not very nice.
No, I know, but it wasn't all that special. So there's this new seltzer. In fact, when I went to the grocery store, all of the seltzers that I normally get bubbly. That's my favorite. Bubbly. It's the best flavored.
It really is. Apple is my favorite.
Yeah. So they didn't have any of that. Everything was sold out, and they had this one called Duo.
Okay.
And I thought that was perfect because we're talking about
cute.
twins today.
I
So I was
it.
just going to get that and have that with tequila. But I drank it all. I drank an entire 12-pack since Monday. But it's really
a 12
good.
pack of the sparkling water, not
Yes.
a 12 pack of tequila shots.
No, of the sparkling. I mean, I wish. But they have like these weird flavor combinations. And then the one that I picked out was apple ginger.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah. And then they also had a cola coffee, I think.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I
one.
don't know. I didn't want to risk it. So
I don't like
next time.
cola, so I'm turned off by that already.
And sparkly coffee sounds,
Weird.
it does.
Yeah.
Might be
I'm going
good.
to try
Who
it,
knows?
but yeah.
So I just have tequila.
All right. Hey. But you're allowed to work still because you're
I
in
have to
agriculture.
work still, yes. I'm actually working overtime.
It's so crazy. Eden's been out of school for a week, and there's a good chance that she's not going to go back for the rest of the school year, which is
Wild.
crazy.
It's absolutely wild. And I don't know what to think. Like there's all these conspiracy people saying like, oh, it's not that bad. And the media is making like this huge big deal of it. And I hope they're right.
I do too.
I really, really hope they're right. I'm afraid that they're not right, but it would be nice.
Yeah.
If it was all just like a big, huge overreaction, that would be wonderful.
It
but
really would be.
I don't think it is.
Every time I hear anyone like cough or I cough.
Oh, I know. I did that to you today.
Yeah, 'cause I coughed.
Well, and then earlier, when I was with Mom, she coughed, and I looked at her like just immediate, like, why are you coughing? What's going on?
I know.
And she's like, relax. I choked on my apple. Like, not a
I
big
know.
deal. So,
It's weird times. It's scary times, but I don't want to be scared. And then like I said, the kid, like, she's missing, a big chunk of kindergarten.
yeah.
So and she's an only child, so like the social interaction is lacking.
All right.
I don't know. It's bad.
Are they
all around.
doing online stuff for kindergartners or what?
So yeah, they have put together like they call it distant learning.
Okay.
So the teacher has created lesson plans online, and you watch like a YouTube video and practice your letters and sounds, but it's not the same.
Of course not.
It's not. I don't know.
Well, this is a depressing way to start a podcast.
But can we have a shot of tequila?
We can do a shot of tequila, and then I'm going to tell you a funny thing I heard.
Okay.
Okay.
Whew. I need a chaser. Wow.
Hopefully that'll kill whatever's virus
Right.
is in you. I heard this the other day because you were just talking about like anytime anybody coughs, you're like everybody stares like, oh shit, like what's going on? So I heard this funny saying, and somebody said, I used to cough to cover a fart, and now I fart to cover a cough.
Oh my god. That's disgusting.
It is. I love it.
It's like a total Nick joke.
It's great.
On a lighter note, I meant to tell you this when I first got here, but you get to see this regularly because you drive that direction. But when I was driving here, I noticed like on the right, the hills are all super, super green right now.
I live on that hill.
Well, but they're also like super blooming with all the mustard
and lupin.
And then the lupin. So there's all the purple. And then you look to your left and there's all the mountains covered in snow.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
You want to know a fun fact?
Absolutely.
Mustard is an invasive plant.
Is it really?
It is. And it kills the other plants around it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I like mustard plants. They're pretty.
It's pretty. But it's invasive.
Huh. I did not. Well, I mean, yeah. Huh. It's not a native.
This
Didn't know
is
that.
just
The
so
more-
fascinating,
The
isn't
more
it?
you know.
Yeah.
All this fun facts.
And lupin's poisonous, so.
It is. Well, a lot of purple plants are poisonous. But this isn't the botany class. So let's talk
I
about
slept through that.
weird, crazy twin
stories.
or multiples. But
Or
I
multiples.
did twins.
I did twins as well.
Okay. Are you?
I'm going first this week.
Okay.
I wrote my story on Monday, and usually I cram and do it like right before, so it's like fresh in my mind, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's been a couple days, and I don't remember anymore. So.
Okay, well, back up because we are actually recording on a Friday. Normally, we record on a
Monday. Yeah.
But this week we pushed it back until Wednesday, and we were all set to record, and then you got a frantic phone call.
Oh, yeah.
So we
Do you
couldn't
wanna talk
record
about
on
that
Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of scary.
It was, but okay. So I got a call as I was driving here from my mom, frantic, because we have horses, and one of the horses was just bleeding. And she thinks that like they got in a fight or something. Because all of their pens are next to each other, and they can kick and sometimes nip over the railing and everything. So, of course, I'm like frantically driving over to where the horses are, and we take a look at her and examine her and clean her all up, and we have to take her to the vet. Well, it turns out the mares are in heat. So mares are the female horses.
The girls.
And one of the mares reached over and bit the other mare right in the hoo-ha.
So Mom now refers to her as a muffin muncher.
Muffin muncher.
Because she just got nipped in the vagina.
Yeah, in the vag.
Poor thing.
In the labia, technically. Or
Yeah.
vulva.
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 Yes, if you want to now have an anatomy class.
So, and it turned out to not be anything serious. So now they just
Thankfully.
need to be, they're already separated, but now they need to have an alleyway between the two of them so that they can't reach over and nip each other. But yeah, apparently that's something they do when they're in heat.
The more you know.
The more you know.
So that's why we didn't record on Wednesday. So luckily we have a good buffer between recordings and publishing, releasing.
Sure. Just like you should always have a good buffer between mares and their vulvas.
All right. So, listener.
If you haven't turned this off yet.
All right, tell me a crazy twin story.
We're talking about twins. Here we go. It would be great if I started on the first page.
Page 1.
Page 1. Okay, I am going to tell you a story about a man named Howard Burke. And Howard was adopted, and he always knew he was adopted. It was not kept a secret at all in the family. But when he turned 35, so he's an adult, grown-up Howard, and this was back in 1998, he was curious about his biological family. So he called up the adoption agency where he was adopted to see if they had any information about his actual birth mother,
How
birth
old is
father.
he at this time?
35.
Okay. Wow. He waited a while.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's something I always thought about, but he was actually, you know what, I'll give him a call,
Yeah.
see what's going on. So it was a closed adoption, so they really didn't have any records available or any sort of insight of where he came from. Mm-hmm. So he kind of just left it at that. However, Howard's adoption was later on, about several years later, do the math, it was 2004, this woman from the agency just calls him and kind of out of the blue, and he's like, okay, this is kind of weird. And she gave him some information that he really never expected to hear. Surprise, surprise. It's the twin episode. He has a twin. So she said he had an identical twin brother. What? Yeah. So she told Howard that she really wasn't allowed to disclose any of this information to him, and she could potentially get in like a lot of shit for doing it. But she lived with the secret for like so long, and she was ready to come clean. She was actually diagnosed with a terminal cancer.
Oh my gosh.
So she was just like, I'm just going to tell him. Like, I'm just going to.
I wonder if she was doing this to multiple people that had been adopted through that agency.
Oh, well, you'll find out.
Oh, jumping ahead.
So the agency was actually closing its doors at this time. And this was the agency called Louise Wise Services. And it was a prominent Jewish adoption agency in New York City.
Okay.
Have you heard of that at all?
No.
Oh, okay. You're going to find out a lot of things. All right.
What year is this again? Tell me.
2004.
Oh, 4. Okay.
2004. So he gets this information from the former employee. And after researching for about 2 years, Howard was reunited with his identical brother, Doug Roush. And the similarities, like they actually, if you go on YouTube, I should tell you my sources. If you go on 2020, they have like they're reuniting on camera, and it seriously looks like he's his clone. Like he's coming around the corner, and it would be so freaky. Like you're looking in the mirror,
looking like that.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, that's
I don't
crazy.
even know how I would feel.
I mean, you can't guess. It's just.
What would be like your first thought? I think I would immediately want to be like, oh my God, I bet they're so much more successful than I am.
Do a comparison game.
Yeah,
he's
right?
Taller. He's shorter. Yeah. He married this woman, and yeah.
That's so weird. Okay. Speaking of their comparison, even though they were separated at birth, they had like this instant connection, and they were both like super laid back personalities, and they both loved prime rib. They both hate all condiments.
What?
Yeah, isn't that bizarre? Like ketchup, mustard, anything. They hate condiments. They both got married the same year. They both had 3 kids, and they both coach hockey, even though they didn't play hockey growing up.
Oh, well, that is bizarre.
Yeah, and there's like those are just the things that I picked out. Like they both always held their wallet in their front pocket.
Uh-huh.
And like they just went on and listed like all these crazy things. They're like the same freaking person. It's almost like those movies where you have another you in another alternate universe.
But it's the same.
But it's in the same universe.
Huh.
Weird, right? Okay, so once they reconnected, Doug and Howard discovered that they both had these memories of these frequent visitors by strangers in their home.
What?
So they asked their parents about it, and their parents were like, yeah, we had these people come over all the time, and they were from the adoption agency. They were workers who would check up on the children's like well-being. But like the more they thought about it, they're like, that was actually kind of weird, because they kept showing up, you know, like way longer than you would expect somebody to check up on like the welfare of
not
a kid.
Like a CPS type situation. It's
yeah.
What where did these people live?
I would imagine somewhere near New York.
Okay,
but I
so
can't
it wasn't like an out-of-state adoption?
I don't know, actually. I just assumed that they all stayed in that area because it was from a Jewish adoption agency in New York City. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a good question. They could have lived further away.
I don't know.
I'm
just curious.
Okay, so the brothers contacted the Jewish Board of Family Services, which initially denied them any sort of information, which I said previously. And then they denied that they were even aware that they were brothers. They're like, oh, there must have been some sort of mix-up. Like, we didn't know that you had a twin. This is just the information we got. And
that's what the agency said?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right? So that's what they're saying. And like, I could kind of understand that. No, because no.
No.
No. I was going to say, like, what if they were dropped off like several days after they were born? But even then, they would still be together.
Yeah. Yeah. They were probably, like you said, even if they were just dropped off like fire station status, they were probably wrapped up together and dropped off at the same time together. It's not like you give off. I mean, maybe they dropped off one kid and then 6 days later dropped off the other.
Well, they didn't.
Okay, well then there goes that theory.
So,
no, they're lying.
Yeah, they're full of it. The brothers get an attorney, And they find that there are some notes, like they actually do have a record, but it wasn't released to them. And they find these notes from a doctor and a former research assistant for that doctor that they were actually a part of a nature versus nurture study.
What?
Yeah.
Like a science project?
Like a freaking science project. Yeah.
Wait, I'm so confused. Okay, so the mom was in on it as well, or no?
No. See, that's the thing. So the parents had no idea that this was going on. So the twins later find out that they were not alone in this experience. They were a part of a study consisting of several sets of multiples, which first started in 1960, when two prominent psychoanalysts, Dr. Peter Newbar and Dr. Viola Bernard, conducted this nature versus nurture study.
That is not okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get into it.
Oh, I'm getting fired up.
Right? So
Maybe it's
this
a tequila.
secret study involved orphaned babies from New York City Adoption Agency that were separated at the doctor's request.
Oh, what a horrible person.
Right?
Horrible person.
The information regarding this study is still kept sealed at at Yale University archives and will not be released until 2066.
Why? That's not okay.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I think that this is just totally like not based on anything that I read. This is just my assumption that as this study progressed, they started to realize just how unethical it was.
So they're hoping that all the twins die off?
Or they're hoping that they die before these records are released.
2066 is quite a ways away still.
Yeah.
And if these men were 35 in 06?
No, in 1996 or something like, I don't know. I think they're hoping that
the twins will be dead by that time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I honestly think that that's why it's sealed. But let me tell you more about it.
Sorry. Okay, I get so invested.
All right. So with the attorney's help and a documentary filmmaker, Lori Shinsky, they were able to glean bits and pieces of the information about this study. Because like I said, the whole thing is sealed and Yale won't release it. So here's what they found out. The doctors separated at least 11 sets of twins and 1 set of triplets without telling the adoptive parents that they had any siblings. Some of which weren't separated until they were 6 months old.
Oh, that's so sad.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, 6 months old, it's not, I don't know. I mean, you don't remember when you're 6 months old, but you have that connection.
Absolutely.
That's way too old to pull baby. Like you pull them apart, they're going to start freaking out. I mean, I would imagine even like newborns would start freaking out, but maybe like, I don't know.
That's
just
not
for some
right.
reason that makes it sound so much worse to me.
And it's okay. I understand. Like, okay, you are an adoption agency or whatever, and maybe there's people that are willing to take a child, but maybe not multiples. But I know there's lots and lots of people that are willing to take twins or triplets. So that's not a good excuse just to give that child a home.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of what they based it off of. Like, oh, these kids are orphans. They need a home. We're giving them a home. Like, what's the big deal? And again, that's just my assumption. But the other thing that I did notice during this documentary is that just about all of the parents that they talked to, they're like, yeah, if we knew you had siblings, we would take all of you.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, there's no question.
All right. One common thing among all of the twins involved in the study is just this feeling of loneliness and pain that they grew up with.
Oh,
yeah,
so sad.
Right. We're just going to go right into it. Many of which exhibited troubling behaviors, including head banging, rocking, holding their breath until they passed out, and just overall profound sadness.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't know why. You know, they're feeling that sadness, but they're not sure why.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
At least 3 of the individuals, and maybe more because we don't even know for sure how many were involved, have taken their own lives.
No.
Mm-hmm. One of these individuals, which maybe somebody you had heard of, was Eddie Galland. Do you remember Eddie?
Mm-mm.
He was 1/3 of the 3 Identical Strangers. Do you remember that documentary that came out? Okay. So the 3 Identical Strangers was a documentary about these three brothers that were separated at birth, and they were all adopted out, and then they just like coincidentally found each other in college, and they pretty much became like instant best friends.
Wait, did they all go to the same college?
I think
like randomly?
2 of them went to the same college, and then another one was like in a nearby area, and like another friend from the college said, "Hey, you look like this other guy."
Whoa.
Yeah. So all 3 of the brothers, like,
What's it called again?
3 Identical Strangers.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And once they found each other, it was like big news, and they were on all of these talk shows and did interviews and did commercials, and they actually had a little cameo in Madonna's movie.
Which one?
I don't know. Did she have more than one? I didn't even know she had a movie.
I'm a big Madonna fan.
Oh, yeah. So they were in that, and they just like instantly connected, and they found out like kind of the same thing as the first 2 twins, that they all smoked the same cigarettes. They all wrestled. They had the same taste in women, and they decided to open a restaurant together.
Cute.
Yeah, it was super cute. But they didn't realize that they were separated because they were also a part of this study. And in fact, Eddie died without even knowing that he was a part of this study. And nobody knows exactly like why you can't ever pinpoint a reason.
He took his own life?
Yeah, that he took his own life. But some people say like, well, maybe it was part of his childhood trauma because he grew up with this like sense of loss without even knowing where that loss came from.
Right.
So some people think that traumatic separation could have had lifelong impacts that resulted in him taking his own life. And judging by the little bit of the statistics that we know, I mean, maybe it's a possibility. But since the records are sealed,
it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it really doesn't. We may never know. So this case, obviously, which you pointed out from the very beginning, has like these huge ethical oversights, because it would indicate that study itself contributed to the death of these people.
So these visitors that the first 2 guys that you were telling me about, were they like scientists, or were they actually like welfare people?
And they were research assistants. So they would go and collect the data from the kids. So they would go to like twin A, and they would show him ink blots and like get, kind of assess his mindset, and they would ask him different questions and give him different quizzes and see if there was different, I don't know, like if maybe the neighborhood that they lived in had a different impact, if the parents that he or she had a different impact on their development versus the other twin.
So the parents thought that this was normal,
right? Exactly,
like for an adoption agency to do these kind of tests and stuff.
Yep.
So they weren't even honest with the parents.
Nope, the parents had no idea.
So that seems super sketchy,
right? So, super like interesting and fascinating that they had these similarities, and that were all determined by genetics and not by nurture, because that's like, as unethical as this research study is, you can kind of pick up on little things like that. Like, hey, the genetics have way much more. Wow.
Yeah.
Have way more impact than maybe we thought they did. But at the same time,
nature plays
not very much of a role.
Huh. No, absolutely interesting study. 100% interesting.
It's kind of depressing, because it's like, I could try really, really, really hard, but maybe my genes just decide.
But I feel like the parents and the kids, for that matter, should have been informed that this study was going on.
Yeah. But then, does that alter the results of their study? Probably. But that's just all what ethical research is about.
Well,
you have to draw a line somewhere.
Or, I mean, at least have the parents know. And then at 18, the kids can be informed.
But who would agree to that?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like who? Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, you have a twin, but I'm not going to tell you about him ever. Yeah,
that wouldn't happen. That'd be messed up.
That's sad.
It is really sad.
Nick.
Ready? What?
Oh, sorry. Nick has a half brother. That he, knew a little bit growing up. He lives in New Jersey. And he'd see him, for a couple weeks during the summer. Not a whole lot of contact at all.
Yeah.
And they are very, 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 very similar.
Really?
Not look-wise, but the way they think, the foods they eat, their work ethic, their type A personality, very, very, very similar. It's bizarre.
That's so fascinating to me because Adam, he was raised by his stepdad and he doesn't really have a relationship with his biological father's family. And I'm always so curious about the similarities there, or if there are any, because he has a half sibling as well, a half sister, but they just,
they don't have a relationship.
Not really. It's just like Facebook here and there. But
yeah, Nick's half brother, we see once every maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe.
And then when you see it, you're just like, holy shit, you're the same person.
It's like, whoa, you guys are weird. Yeah, it's weird. It's very
people
bizarre.
say that about us, and we're not even.
No,
we have 10 years apart.
We are 10 years apart, but we see each other frequently.
That's true. Yeah, so there could be a lot. And we also have a lot of traits that are the exact extreme opposite. Don't you think?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, we have very similar things and very opposite things.
I, Angela, am very much introverted.
Yeah,
I like to be
true.
alone. I like to do things on my own. I'm not a team player. And Rosa is...
I get twitchy if I'm not around people.
Totally the opposite. Social butterfly. Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I mean, but we have similarities, though. Duh. That's why we get along, probably. But that's probably also why we get along, is because we have opposites. We have differences.
Yeah.
But wow, that was crazy.
Well, I haven't even gotten to my ripple yet.
So sorry.
Did you think that was the end of my story? Do you think I was just going to leave you there with and that's the end and they'll never know anything?
Oh, is there more of a happy ending?
Kind of. So the filmmaker that I mentioned earlier, she did this entire documentary on it. I'm trying to find her name really quick. Lori Shinsky. As I stated before, it is this has never been published. So she is doing an entire documentary on the twins, and she's gonna really dig deep. And with the help of her and attorneys, they are working to get these records released, unsealed.
Oh, good.
So what's the term for that when you break that seal, you let them out? Release the records.
Release the Kraken. I don't know legal words.
Okay. So let me tell you how far they've gotten on it. Okay. So first things first, Dr. Nubar, who was the head of the entire study, he died in 2008.
And he was trying to get the records open?
No, he was trying to keep him sealed. He was the one.
He's dead.
Yes. So he's dead. So that's
helping their case?
Possibly. Because, he's not really here to say, no, they need to be sealed because of this. So he's passed away.
Is Yale fighting to keep this?
So Yale is kind of like the intermediate. They don't really have a say one way or another. They're saying,
Yale.
Right. They're saying hey, this is what was sent to us. We need to keep it sealed based on his recommendations or whatever reason. So she goes on to state that this is a violation that should force Yale to release the records to all the families involved, not only as an apology to those who have been affected, but as a demonstration to show that this type of unethical research will not be tolerated in the scientific field. Okay?
Got it.
So they are actually consulting with Karen Glanz, PhD of biostatistics, who has drawn out the entire breakdown of all of the different ethical issues that this study involves.
Yeah, there's a ton.
Yeah. And the fact that this is still sealed alone, which I kind of just said, is continuing this unethical study. Like, does that make sense? So the fact that they haven't like said, okay, we're just going to release all the information, let everybody know everything that happened, that it's still sealed. Are you following?
No, I totally am. I just don't understand how it can be sealed at all. Like, you have done an experiment on me without my
your
consent.
Exactly.
And you're not even giving me the information that you have collected about me? That's like that. Oh, shoot. What was that movie? Was it The Truman Show?
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of. Like, he was
watching them, monitoring them grow up without knowing.
He had no clue. Like, his whole life as a little child, he was on this TV show.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Being studied.
Huh.
So weird. So weird. Okay. So far, this has resulted in the Jewish Board of Family and Children's Services. Did I already tell you that they apologized?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm jumping all over my
That's
notes.
okay.
Okay.
I get stuck on something, so I'm thinking about it. So if you're repeating, that's okay.
They apologized to some of the individuals involved, and they said that they have set new moral course for the future, including the task of repairing past wrongs and making them right. And hopefully those will include the release of all of the archived Yale information. And now, since Dr. Nabar has passed away, they are the only ones who have the authority to release it.
Okay, so release them.
Yeah.
Like, what is stopping you?
Don't know. Unless there's some crazy information in there that's going to spark like some serious lawsuit.
Well,
Which
I don't know.
I would think they have enough information to have a serious lawsuit.
As it is.
Lawsuit already.
Yeah. Oh, that really angers me.
Yeah. So the documentary that's coming out, it actually was just released at a film festival, and it was awarded.
But you can't go see it because there's lockdown.
Yeah, because Corona. It was released last summer.
Oh, okay.
At the Jersey Shore Film Festival, and it won Best Documentary. And I don't think it's been released to the public yet, because I searched all over the internet looking for a place to buy it and watch it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So hopefully soon you can watch it. It's called The Twinning Reaction. And the maker, Lori Shinsky, says that she hopes that it serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers involved in human experimentation, and that we should fight for ethical research and transparency. Which is very true, because how are you supposed to trust any research and, you know, any sort of studies that come out from universities, you know, telling you what food is safe to eat and anything like that, if they're doing crazy unethical things? Like, it's just a sense of trust that you have to have there.
It kind of goes back to the coronavirus stuff. Like, we hope that what we are being told is in fact true.
Absolutely. Just like when the U.S. government infected people with syphilis without their consent. That's a whole nother story. But that's the example that they gave, like in the research about other sort of non-consenting human subjects in experimentation. But that actually, during the Obama administration, they released all of the data, and he publicly apologized for
syphilis.
I mean, of course, it happened way long before he was ever involved, but still, you know.
Well, and then, yeah, I mean, we can go down a big old wormhole here, but...
Twins. They're weird. They're like clones.
Okay, so do you know twins? Do you know very many twins?
I know a few. I know a few sets.
Identical or
I don't know
fraternal?
if they're identical or fraternal.
So the twins, I don't want to say their names because they're minors.
Oh,
The girls?
Mm-hmm. The girls.
They are technically not identical. They're fraternal.
Are they in vitro?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Because that's like a thing that they can do, right?
Right.
Doesn't that result in multiples?
Like
not necessarily intentionally, but with the hopes that like if they put enough in,
that at least one takes.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie's kids, the twins, her girls, were in vitro.
Oh, see, maybe there's going to be more.
And they're fraternal.
There's more twins in the world now with technologies advancing and stuff.
Yeah. As I was doing my research, I was like thinking of all the twins that I know. And I was like, wow, I actually know quite a few.
Do you?
Well, like I went to school with Bob and Mike Bryan, the tennis twins.
Uh-huh.
I went to school with Danny and Donnie Harrison, identical twins.
Everyone's like, who the hell are these people?
I know,
no one cares. Rosa's going to list all the twins she's ever met.
Every twin I know. But yeah, it was funny because I was like, wow, there's a lot.
Yeah, and there was a lot of twin stories out there that I had looked into doing, but this one was just, it was big to me, you know? Like all these people, 11 sets of twins and 1 set of triplets that they know of being involved in this crazy study. And that's only the ones they know of.
Yeah,
so
that's nutty. I like it.
All right. Are you ready to tell me a story?
I am, but first you need to grab 2 glasses.
Okay.
Because my drink, so you may not even know this, and then this came to me as a total like, oh, this'll work thought. Back in, I want to say, and I meant to actually look this up, like the 80s, maybe the early 90s. I want to say 80s though. There was a commercial for Doublemint gum.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, they redid it. Like, I don't know, in the early 2000s, they did a new version of it.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's, and then there was all the spin-offs like Saturday Night Live and stuff about them. So those Doublemint commercial with the gum, obviously.
Right.
So in this old kombucha bottle that I washed out is bubbly sparkling water. So it was really funny that you even said that. It's cherry flavored. So just smell it first.
Okay.
Just use your nose.
Oh, it smells nice. I'm excited that this beverage isn't the color of urine this time, which I think this is the first time you've made me a drink during our podcast career.
That wasn't pea colored?
That wasn't pea colored. Yeah.
This is totally clear.
It's totally clear. It's bubbly and it smells like artificial cherry flavor. Yum.
So it's cherry bubbly and bubble gum flavored vodka.
Oh, is that what are those, Pinnacle vodka?
No, it's 3 Olives.
Oh, okay. Let's step up.
You know, it wasn't a plastic bottle. It was glass.
Good. Pinnacle's also glass though, and those are super cheap.
Oh no,
but man, were they fun in college.
Yeah, do they even make that anymore? Like
I think they do. They had so many flavors. They had cupcake, or cake batter and whipped cream and Swedish fish and like everything. They had chocolate.
They were just pumping them out.
Oh yeah.
Cotton candy. I had cotton candy.
I think I got you the cotton candy one.
You may have, yeah.
All right,
so
here we go. Cheers. Oh, it totally tastes like bubblegum.
Doesn't it?
It does.
It's fun, huh?
Yeah, it's not a huge fan of bubblegum flavor, but it tastes like bubblegum, and I appreciate that.
Drink it once, and that's
true.
Oh, sources.
My sources every time. So I did mention 2020. Stat News was the whole breakdown of all of the unethical things that were conducted in that study. The Twinning Reaction, I got a lot of information from their website, and that was the website for the documentary itself. And then, of course, Wikipedia.
Okay, so mine are npr.org, people.com, Wikipedia, cracked.com, listverse.com, Cosmopolitan again
with the Cosmo.
But this one was cosmopolitan.co.za. Getting tricky there.
Okay.
And then I watched a YouTube movie that was called Silent Twins Without My Shadow.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so identical twins, Jennifer and June Gibbons, grew up in Wales. They were born on April 11th, 1963.
Okay.
They were late talkers, and they actually didn't form sentences until way after the age of 3, and even those were very broken sentences. So I have a kid who's was a super late talker, speech delay. She's still 6 and she still struggles. So I was like, "Ooh, yikes! I need to."
Oh, that's what you would see. I immediately thought, I'm like, "Hey, I know kids who are like that." I'm like, "Well, no big deal. Whatever."
I think it's a lot more commonly accepted now than maybe back then. I think a lot of it was like pretty judgy back then. I don't know. Anyways, since their parents were Caribbean immigrants and they moved a lot because they were military, the twins had like really strong accents that some had described as like a sped up, like Bajan Creole kind of talk. And it was really unfamiliar and difficult for people in their area to understand. They were also the only Black children in their community at the time, which led to like really bad bullying to the point of where the teachers let them out of school each day, like 5 to 10 minutes early, just so they wouldn't be harassed
to get
on the
a
way
head
home.
start.
Yeah.
This was in the 60s?
63.
Oh,
well,
man.
no, I'm sorry. They were born in 63.
Oh, okay. So
like
I mean,
70s.
late 60s, early 70s. Man, I mean, I guess that's nice of the teachers, I guess.
No, you
but,
put a stop to it in the classroom.
but how do you do it
I know.
after the classroom?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Just, I can't, so sad.
Yeah, awful.
So obviously being bullied that much and being singled out that much caused the twins to turn more to each other
It makes sense.
and just close out the rest of the world. Because of them being so like ostracized, they stopped actually just talking at school and they developed like their own language.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's called like when and it's very common with twins.
Twin talk.
Twin talk, yeah. But it's called idiosyncratic language or cryptophasia. And that's the cryptophasia is when it's just done by twins. And like you said, you may have heard it called like twin talk or twin speech. And part of their language included motions, which were a lot of the time done at the same time, kind of like mirroring each other.
Oh, wow.
And they just, later on, psychologists called them elective mutes because they just refused to speak at school.
Hey, I do that.
You refuse to speak?
Sometimes I'll be a mute towards something that I don't want to acknowledge. Sure.
You just shut it out.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And also, I feel like we totally have twin talk.
Oh, we do. And people have said that those exact words.
I feel like I can give you a look and you know exactly what I'm thinking.
100%.
I can make a facial expression and you pretty much just had a conversation with me.
Right. Or we can give each other a look and be like, okay, go along this lie with me. Or don't talk about this certain thing with me. Yeah.
I think my mom's calling. I gotta go home.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, and we've had people say that to us. Like, oh, there goes the twin talk. Yeah.
I'm sure.
So the girls had like little games or rituals that they'd play, and they would decide like which one got to wake up in the morning first or which one would breathe first.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. And the other one wasn't allowed to do anything until that first one did so.
So, wait, so that they would do it together or
just the one got the
first?
Mm-hmm. Because they
breathe first. Are you not breathing?
Well, I think they like maybe had to like hold their breath
until the other one woke up?
Or just started to breathe. Like, you know, like I'm going to hold my breath and you have to hold yours longer than me.
That's,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So by age 11, they refused to talk or sit in the same room with their parents and 3 siblings. They refused to write in school. When they walked down the street, they took turns following each other, synchronizing their steps. And if anyone kind of looked their way, they would just freeze, like, and not move, like statues. Their motions were extremely slow and almost like mime or dance-like. So
all the time?
All the time.
Wow, that's bizarre.
So as time went on, they stopped speaking to everyone, just like shut down talk.
And how old are they at this point?
Well, 11 is when they stopped like going to dinner at, like with the family.
Okay.
So probably this is maybe like 2 or 3 years later, so maybe 13.
Okay, so they're not like adults functioning in the real world. Okay,
not
gotcha.
Right now. Mm-hmm. And the only person that they, other than each other, that they would talk to would be their sister Rosemary, and they shared a room with her.
So they shared a room with another sibling while all this stuff is going on. That's
a lot
different
for that one. So around that time, they started seeing various therapists recommended by the teachers.
That's good.
Well, yeah. But these therapists tried unsuccessfully to get them to speak with others. And then at one point, they were even sent to separate boarding schools, thinking that separating the two of them would force them to communicate with other people.
Right.
But instead, it had the total opposite effect. And the girls just totally shut down. They refused to talk still, but now they also would refuse to get dressed. They'd refuse to eat. They refused to leave their room.
Whoa.
And they would just, there was one person, just an interview with her, and she was describing one of the twins just sitting on her bed, just in hysterics, bawling with tears and spit and snot and everything just running down her face. And she would not move. And the girls actually, like, were on board with being sent to boarding school. They were like,
weird.
Mm-hmm. They're like, maybe separating us will be good for us.
So I wonder if it was kind of orchestrated.
It's quite possible. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
So once
I don't know.
The girls got back together because they said, okay, they can't live like this. This is not okay. They pretty much like locked themselves in their bedroom, and any mail that they would receive would get slid under the door. Meals were served on trays and then left outside their bedroom door. Their family rarely saw them.
Are they not going to school anymore?
So at this time, they're probably like 16, maybe.
But still. Are you still in high school?
Yeah, but if they just refuse. And I was watching some of these videos of them, and the whole, like, the very strange, like, mime kind of movement.
Wait, there's actually videos of them?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I gotta look this up.
Their emotions are very, very dramatic and almost like forced, like, and just so slow. And they showed a video of like one of them eating at the boarding school, and she just took a spoon and took it to her mouth and opened up her mouth and put the spoon in.
Okay, I mean, I get it. I get the point.
It's very odd, their movements.
Weird.
So if they're not functioning at school, I don't know. I don't know what the
like,
laws were.
I understand. Yeah, they clearly had some sort of distress that needed to be dealt with. But, oh my God, your freaking alarm every time.
8 o'clock.
But you would think that they, like, okay, we're not going to cater to you locking yourself up in your bedroom. If you want to eat, come downstairs and eat.
I can see that. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not
their
parent.
family.
I shouldn't say anything.
But their family also didn't want to accept or didn't realize how severe their issues were at the time.
Okay.
Whether they didn't want to believe it, or they chose not to see it, or they were just hoping that they were going to grow out of it.
But they're like being mimes to people.
Yeah.
That's pretty severe.
Yeah. So the family like rarely saw them, and it was in their bedroom that they started to create these complicated and detailed stories with their dolls, and they'd actually record some of the stories. Yeah. And then they'd give the recordings, because they'd, have the dolls talk and stuff, as a gift to their sister, Rosemary.
Is she still in the same room as them?
She moved out.
Oh, okay.
By that time. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but after they came back from boarding school, she had moved out into her own room. So in 1977, a few days after their 14th birthday, they were sent to this school called Eastgate Center for Special Education. And there was a hidden videotape that was recording the girls, like behind like a two-way glass. Like, so there was an interviewer or therapist or teacher or something with the girls.
Okay.
And they would just sit there and stare at her and not speak. And then the teacher would leave, and the girls didn't know they were being recorded. They would start talking and laughing and teasing each other.
So they were making it all up.
They were elective mutes. They chose not to speak to anyone. Okay. And it was just like totally blowing all the professionals' minds. They're like, what the heck? That is like commitment. So when they were 16 years old, the girls were given diaries as Christmas gifts. And they used these diaries to store all of the stories that they had created with their dolls. And they also wrote poems. And then they started writing like full-blown novels.
Oh, wow.
They were like super gifted in writing. Their like descriptions were like super vivid.
That's cool.
And many of their stories had main characters that had committed crimes and some like other really strange behaviors.
I mean, it'd be interesting though.
Well, very interesting. But like when they were 17, so like a year after they got these diaries, they pooled together their money. They were actually receiving unemployment money at this point. And obviously the laws in Wales is different than here. So.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that they're not here.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right. And they self-published the novel called Pepsi Cola Addict. And
wait, Pepsi Cola Addict?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And they were really, really like infatuated with like American kind of culture.
Okay.
So the whole Pepsi Cola stuff, I guess. And June is the one that wrote this story. And this is a quote from Goodreads. Like, I went and like looked at like their description.
Like a review of the book?
Yeah.
Got it.
And it says, quote, a self-published novel by June Allison Gibbons, one of the, quote, silent twins. And it's about this guy named Preston Wildley King. He's 14. He lives in Malibu with his widowed mother and sister. He is literally addicted to Pepsi to the point that all his thoughts and fantasies are focused on it. When he's not drinking it, he's dreaming about it, even creating art and poetry based on it. It amounts to his religion. He is deeply in love with this girl named Peggy, but she dumps him after an argument over his Pepsi habit. His friend Ryan is bisexual and desires him. His math tutor seduces him.
Oh, wow.
And when he's sent to juvie after robbing a convenience store, he's molested by a guard.
Oh, I was just about to say, this is going to be some
fun.
romance novel, and then he gets molested.
Yeah. And then Jennifer, she wrote a story called The Pug List, Pugilist, Pug List. And it was about a physician that needed to save his child's life. And in order to do this, he kills the family's pet dog.
And oh my God, they have a pug kid.
And
is that what it is?
Transplants the dog heart into the child. And then the spirit of the dog takes over the child and goes after the dad.
Oh my God, I want to read this.
So,
but was it a pug? It's
I
gotta
don't
be
know.
a pug.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that it was called a Pug List, but I don't know.
And the kid always breathes like this.
So around age 17, the girls started getting pretty boy crazy, even though they didn't like go out very often. And they met some guys and they started drinking and doing drugs with them. And then this is a quote from one of their
they're
diaries.
Talking to these people then.
Yes.
Okay.
Vaguely, like a little bit. But this is like how they wrote. Like, this is their description. This is from a diary. It says, quote, God knows what memories would be mine had that summer not told me the secrets of love, passion, and sex. This is from Jennifer.
Oh, geez.
And she writes, they are all there in my mind like a string of golden flashes. Somebody gave me an opportunity to do something about my life, and I took it as a child will take candy.
Oh, wow.
So a very flowery, like, descriptive.
Very emo.
Yeah.
Teenage. Scene kid.
Uh-huh. So around this time, both the girls lost their virginity. Jennifer first, and June a week later to the same boy.
Oh, gross.
Uh-huh. The girls started getting a little violent around this time. They started committing petty crimes together. It was like twins on a 2-woman crime spree. They started like little fires and they started fighting with people. And then one time Jennifer tried to strangle June with an electrical cord.
What?
Mm-hmm. Like full on tried to kill her. And then June decided to retaliate by throwing Jennifer off of a bridge.
Oh, Jesus.
And then trying to drown her.
Oh, that's aggressive.
So they're super, getting angry at this point.
Wow.
In October of 1981, they burned down a tractor store. And In that fire, a fireman was hurt trying to put out the flames.
Oh, no.
And they caused over $200,000 in damages.
Yeah, I bet. Tractors ain't cheap.
Right? And this is 81. And then 2 weeks later, they vandalized a technical college and attempted to burn that down. And that was the crime that got them arrested. And they were put in Broadmoor Hospital, which is a high-security mental hospital that actually, like, held rapists and serial killers. So there's these teenage girls that are arsons and angry put in the same prison as rapists and serial killers.
That sounds like a party.
Yeah. And they were sentenced indefinitely.
Oh, that's a thing you can do over there.
Apparently, it was under the Mental Health Act of 1983.
Oh, so it's probably based on like the evaluation of their mental state.
Because they would not speak.
Oh, they did that thing again.
So
Brought
the
back that
doctors-
whole trick.
Oh, yeah, they're still holding on to that. The doctors thought that June and Jennifer were deeply disturbed and dangerous. And then some days only one twin would eat, and then the next day the other would indulge as her sister starved. Other times the nurses would find them frozen in the same exact pose, even though they were locked in cells on opposite ends of the hospital. So,
Oh my! Imagine being like the orderly or whatever they call it that has to go around and do the rounds and check on everybody, and you get to one room and you see the one twin like all contorted
Frozen.
in some way, and that's not creepy enough until you get to the other end of the room and you see the same twin.
not the other end of the room, the other end of the building.
How? How did they do that? They had to have planned it ahead of
I
time.
don't know.
That's so weird.
So it was in this facility where they met journalist Marjorie Wallace, and she was actually shocked when she heard about the girl sentencing, and she wanted to write about it. She's like, okay, these are teenagers. They're not like killers or anything. Why are they being sentenced indefinitely for this, yes, stupid crime that they did, which they should be punished for, but to be locked here for, I mean, maybe their whole life?
The tractor incident, did they get any sort of punishment that time around?
I think when the reason they actually found out that the girls were guilty was reading their journals, their diaries.
But how did they
'cause
get their
wrote-
diaries?
Maybe they caught them during the college when they were attempting
Snapchatting it the whole time.
Instagram hashtag. She first came to visit the twins. And when they were brought over to Marjorie, they were brought over like one by one. And I'm saying brought over because they were like totally stiff and rigid when they were being brought in. And they had to be like pushed or carried to where they were supposed to go.
This reminds me, did you ever watch Exorcism of Emily Rose?
No.
Okay.
It scares me.
Oh, it's probably my favorite horror movie, even though it got terrible ratings. But the like creepiest image that sticks in my mind is when just like The Exorcist, they would find her in these weird contorted pose, like she'd be doing like a crab walk back bend with her like
not okay.
elbows up over
No,
her head and her neck all twisted. That's what I visualize when
No.
you tell me that they were stuck in like certain poses.
No, they were like life-size mannequins, like, and being carried in by like two people, like just super like rigid.
It's so weird.
So she visited over multiple weeks and eventually gained their trust by talking to them about their writing. So she's like, oh, hey, I've been reading your diaries or I'm reading your novels.
Knock it off. Those are mine.
And no, they loved.
Oh, they like the attention?
They were like desperate for approval. And they wanted to know what Marjorie liked and didn't like about their stories. They wanted to be recognized and famous through their writings and to have them be published and have their story told. So Marjorie thought that maybe one way of kind of freeing them or liberating them would be to unlock them from that silence. And she would write their story for them. So they became like pen pals and started writing to each other back and forth. And Marjorie said that was actually kind of hard for her because the twins wrote in such small script that the page would almost look black, and it would take her up to 5 hours to read just one page.
Were they not giving them enough paper or something?
No, I think that was just A thing
that they like to do. So it was almost black because it was so covered with line after line.
Tiny.
God, that'd be aggravating.
So Marjorie continued their relationship with the girls for the entire time that they were at Broadmoor. And June, like in later interviews, she blames their like lengthy sentence on their selective muteness. And she says, quote, "Juvenile delinquents get 2 years in prison. We got 12 years of hell."
Holy, 12
we didn't
years?
speak. Mm-hmm.
But did she say why they didn't speak?
No. She says that they lost hope, really. She's like, I wrote a letter to the Queen asking her to get us out.
So she would write. Would she have written a note to these people she's supposed to talk to instead of talking?
I mean, they wrote frequently, like constantly.
But like when you sit down and they're like, oh, hey, we need to have our little therapy sesh and talk to you about... But would she write to them instead?
Like just...
Could they like...
communicate that way?
Pictionary.
I don't know.
Text
Crazy,
message.
right? So it's toward the end of their 14-year stay that they told Marjorie that one of them wouldn't make it out of the hospital alive.
Oh, no.
Jennifer just looked at Wallace, like Wallace is Marjorie Wallace, and said, "I'm going to die. We've decided."
What?
So June and Jennifer had come to the conclusion that they could never be free or normal as long as they were both alive.
What?
So Jennifer agreed to be the one to die.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, aren't they supposed to be under, like, supervision and stuff?
And then this is a quote from Marjorie. And it says, Marjorie is, like, recalling the conversation with the girls. And it says, "And then suddenly, in the middle of the conversation, Jennifer said, 'Marjorie, I'm going to have to die.' And I sort of laughed. And I sort of said, 'What? Don't be silly. You're 31 years old. You know, you've just about to be freed from Broadmoor. Why are you going to have to die? You're not ill.' And she said, 'Because we've decided.' At that point, I got very, very frightened because I could see that they meant it. And then they said, 'We have made a pact. Jennifer has got to die because they said the day that they left Broadmoor, the day that they were free from the secure hospital, one of them would have to give up their life to really enable the other one to be free.' I later found out that they had been quarreling violently from the staff at Broadmoor.
So they're fighting
about who was going to die. Yeah.
Wait, they were just arguing?
Like, you're going to die. No, you're going to die. No, you're going to die. No, you're going to die. Jennifer's cheekbones were very thin and her face looked very flushed. She looked, I think, quite afraid. June looked determined. I was very
June is the evil twin.
at the end of this visit. So, in March of 1993, the twins were transferred from Broadmoor to another more relaxed facility called Caswell Clinic in Bridgend, Wales. On the bus ride to Caswell Clinic, Jennifer rested her head on June's lap.
No.
When they arrived, Jennifer could not be woken up.
Why did they let them sit together?
She had died of acute myocarditis.
Sure.
Which is like a sudden inflammation of the heart. There were no drugs in her system, and she had had no previous heart issues.
So she wasn't killed?
No, she just died.
She just died.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure you were going to say June strangled her on the way or something.
Nope.
What?
Yeah.
She just like willed herself to die.
Exactly.
Wow.
So when Marjorie came to visit June a few days after Jennifer's passing, she said that June was acting abnormal and she was like in a strange mood. And June was quoted saying, "I'm free at last, liberated, and at last Jennifer has given up her life for me."
So weird.
So after Jennifer died, June began speaking regularly.
No way.
She moved out of the facility, and by 2008, she was living on her own near her parents' home in West Wales, and her community has accepted her, and they don't judge her by her past.
I need answers.
How crazy is that?
That is so bizarre.
So, I have a little fun game for you.
Okay.
I want
let's
to
play.
see. This is kind of the beginning of my ripple, unless you wanted to say something else first.
No.
Okay. How many celebrity twins do you know?
Mary Kate and Ashley.
Yes.
They have to be like the most famous twins,
Sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then doesn't Aaron Carter or one of those boy
Yeah.
was I right with Aaron Carter?
Aaron Carter. Is
Aaron Carter.
Angel Carter. Aaron and Angel.
Shoot. I'm not good with celebrities to begin with. So to
I
ask
know.
me which
That's
twins.
you got two. That's okay.
Okay.
So
Who
there's
else?
Hunter and Scarlett Johansson,
Oh, she has a twin.
Kiefer and Rachel Sutherland,
Okay.
Michael and Ashton Kutcher.
Wait, really?
So super cool. This is wasn't in my story, but I read a lot about this too. So Ashton Kutcher has a twin named Michael, and he has cerebral palsy.
Oh.
And he said this quote. He's like, "The Constitution lies to us. He's like, not all people are created equal." And I was like, "Oh, wow!" But he loves his twins so much. Like,
Does the Constitution say that?
is the Constitution that says all people are created equal?
Well, okay, but not. Okay, never mind. Just forget I said
No,
that.
I thought it was very moving. I was like, "Wow, that's super cool."
Wow.
Yeah, his brother and him are very close. It's pretty cool. And then there's Tia and Tamara.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I loved that show.
Sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, such a good show.
And then there was Dylan and Cole Sprouse.
I don't know who those are.
Yeah, you do. They were on the Sweet Life of Zach and
Oh,
Cody.
yeah. I remember that show.
And then you said Mary Kate and Ashley.
Yep.
Jenna Bush and Barbara
Oh, yeah.
Bush.
Uh-huh.
Joel and Benji Madden.
Oh, yeah.
From
Good Charlotte.
Yep. Mm-hmm. John and Dan Heder, who I wouldn't expect you to know their names so much, but it's Napoleon Dynamite. Has a twin.
Oh, okay.
Giselle and Gabriella.
Yeah.
Bunchen. And then Vin Diesel has a twin named Paul
Oh, no
Vincent.
way.
So I'm going to tell you just a really, really quick little bit about Laverne Cox and their twin M. Lamar.
Who are these people?
So Laverne Cox is from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
She's Sophia.
Yes, I know who that is.
And
she's amazing.
She's the transgender
God
woman.
damn it, Rosa.
Woman on there. And it says when the series dedicated to kind of get into Sophia's past,
Which was back when Orange is the New Black was a really good show.
Yeah, I stopped watching it.
Yeah, I think after the second or third season, or
it just started too much.
Right, but when they really dove in deep about the upbringing and the history of all of the inmates, it was so good.
So you remember this? So
yes,
they go into Sophia's past. They go into all these flashbacks and stuff. And back when she was coming out as trans, they actually brought in Cox's identical twin brother,
I wonder
M. Lamar, as Marcus.
Wow.
And there was, I guess, a bunch of other men that auditioned for the role. But once the casting director learned that Cox had a twin,
maybe you should have mentioned that.
Yeah, they brought him into audition, and they totally gave him the part. I just thought that was super, wow, that's so cool.
That's super cool.
Dude, Laverne Cox is rad.
Yeah.
So that's just my little, whoa, twin ripple.
Twins. I think it'd be kind of cool to have a twin, maybe. I don't know. It might be super competitive.
It might be, but I mean...
But if you grew up with it,
you don't know any different.
Yeah. Twins. I'm kind of jealous. No one will ever understand how close twins are unless you're a twin.
Right. But I wonder if there's very many twins that just can't stand each other.
I bet there's some.
Probably. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Maybe June and friggin'
Clearly.
they had a love-hate.
You are going to be the one to die.
Well,
It's been decided.
Okay, so, and this is something I was like kind of debating saying, but I watched that video of Jennifer and June.
And these are actual, not reenactments, but like
No.
actual videos.
like really that.
wow.
Really,
I want to see those.
I'll show you.
Okay.
But so like looking even at pictures of the two girls, June, her mouth and her teeth are very different than Jennifer's.
What does that mean?
It looked like she needed braces really
Okay.
bad, where the other sister had like very straight teeth.
Interesting.
And I almost wonder, because even hearing her being interviewed now, because they said like she had speech problems and she was very hard to understand, I almost wonder if that had something to do with her teeth or the way her mouth was formed.
Weird.
And I don't know, because I never heard the other twins speak, especially as an adult.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if she spoke the same way.
The same way.
But I mean, I read article after article after
And
article
nobody mentioned
looking
it?
specifically for that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, what if these poor girls just would have been in speech therapy? Like, would have a lot of this have been avoided? Maybe they were just too scared to speak because they were going to be made fun of.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you mentioned with the teacher, too, like how they were picked on so much.
Yeah. They just stopped. If we're going to be made fun of, or if people are just going to go, what are you saying? I can't understand you, or making fun of the way they speak.
Then maybe they're just not going
Like,
to talk
forget
at all.
it. I'm going to talk. I'm not going to talk anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, that's just my take with a kid that has a speech delay.
Right.
Like, I see her frustration every so often. I'm like, no, it's okay. Just tell it to me again. I just need to listen a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'll show you the video, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, that's kind of all what we do here is we make assumptions about things that we really don't know about.
We have
But that's
no education. We have no right to
absolutely
be
not.
talking about any of
I
this.
don't know why Yale won't release the records. Who knows? But
Crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
let's pick a subject.
I think
for
it's your
next
turn
week.
to pick.
Is it?
Yeah, so I picked the last one, and the
Oh, right,
last one
you-
was recommended by Adam, and he recommended that because he happened to have twin cousins who are lovely people. They're really cool.
Give him a shout out.
Yeah. I don't know if they want to be associated with
Oh,
this.
well, this is how funny is that? I picked twins
Oh,
and
you
triplets
picked it-
again.
Oh, there's two of them in there. I didn't realize that.
That is funny. Okay.
Hey, it had a twin.
Ha 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 ha. Child stars.
Oh,
That's gonna be good.
Have you watched Aaron Carter on Instagram lately?
No, but do I
He
need
is.
to?
Man, he's gone.
I
to a
watched. I
strange place.
I follow Britney Spears.
Yes. Did you? Oh, I saw a video of her recently. It was wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fun. Child stars.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good one.
Uh huh.
All right. So, if you're still listening, we just started a Facebook page.
Yeah, I need to join it.
Because we have like 25 people on it.
Cool.
So, it's called The Ripple Podcast with
Are you
Rosa and
sure?
Angela.
Wait, let me find it. Let's make sure.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's The Ripple Podcast with Rosa
Hey,
and
you
Angela.
made it.
I did. True.
The Ripple Podcast with Rosa and Angela.
And then we also have Instagram.
Add a button. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Add a button. I'm going to click it, see what happens. Oh. Oh, it has an option if you want to book an appointment. No,
Oh,
we don't
there's
want
no
that. I mean, if
appointments
you
with
want,
us.
sure. We'll chat with you.
And then we're what? Ripple Pod. Yeah, we're Ripple Pod on Instagram.
Yeah, come like us.
We have fun memes and stuff we post.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next week you're going to hear us talk about child stars.
Yes.
And until then,
Stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't go to places that you don't need to go to. And take walks outside because that's still allowed. You don't have to lock yourself up in your house.
no, and laugh. Find a friend and send them an instant message or
Watch Pen 15 on Hulu. It's fantastic.
Oh, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But stay safe and don't forget to be a fountain.
And not a drain. Goodbye.
See you later.